Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. We are back with our second Tech Talk series today. So we have with us Mr. Gagan Vermani. He's the founder and MD and CEO at Noida-based company MYSUN. Before this company, he was the managing director and CEO of Sunborn Energy. He holds a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from NIT Kurukshetra. Today, he's going to talk about rooftop solar installation in India and about his company and what are the technical things and the market scenarios that the solar industry is seeing in India. So I welcome Mr. Gagan Vermani. Sir, thank you so much for agreeing for this talk. Really honored to have you. So you are now on
My pleasure.
stage. And so if you could just tell a bit about your company in your own words, what you do, what are the big challenges, that you're solving and you're facing.
At MySun, we are a distributed solar platform. Uh, Now, the difference that we try to bring to this industry segment is that we have seen, I think all of us would have seen solar being talked a lot these days for the last 4, 5, 6 years. And the fact that the cost of solar has come down drastically, and probably India is amongst the I think it's the only country which has brought down the cost of solar to such low levels. I mean, I think one of the last tenders that we have seen, the price has gone down to sub rupees 2 per unit levels. So, which is a great achievement. Most of it, let's not forget, has come through large scale installations, which we normally call it as either utility scale solar or as solar parks. Where governments provides big parcels of land and the distribution companies or the government nominated entities purchase power through long term contracts. So I think that kind of scale has allowed the industry to bring down the costs of solar to such low levels. Today we are amongst the lowest cost of solar in the entire world, for that matter. Now, what drives MySun is the other side of the consumer segment, which actually consumes energy, which is people like you and I at one place at our homes, as well as people like you and I at our offices. So typically we call it a distributed solar play for commercial and industrial establishments as well as homes. Now, where MySyn tries to make an impact is the highly underserved segment in this consumer segment, which is first the SMEs, and the other one is the homes. People like where you and I, people like you and I
Mhm.
stay. And that is the segment where we haven't seen any business model coming into play successfully in India so far. Now, let's not forget 95% of the Indian industry is SME or below. And we have millions and millions of independent homes which have the ability to install solar systems on their rooftops. Now, there is no scalable business model that is trying to unlock this huge market potential. I mean, even though the individual size of solar installations at these installations are very small, but the sheer size of this market, the sheer numbers when multiplied by the small size, makes it a more than 250 gigawatts kind of a solar opportunity, to say the
Mhm.
least. I mean, it can actually be much more than that. And this is a business opportunity which is out there for a really long term. It's not a 2, 3, 5 year business opportunity. It's an opportunity which is going to unlock over the next 2 to 3 decades. Let's remember, India has committed to net zero by 2070 in the last round
Mhm.
of climate talks, and this is a huge task. Now, until and unless we get to see these micro level solar installations mushrooming all across our cities, it is impossible to achieve that kind of target. So
Mhm.
therefore, my son is trying to do is to get into this difficult market. Of course, there is a reason why industry has not been able to unlock this market, and which means there are lots of challenges. And my son, through technology, through use of internet, through some advanced technical tools, is what we are trying to see: can we make a real impact? Can we unlock this market with much better economics and with much deeper penetration in this market segments? So therefore it's a lot of technology use, it's a lot of research algorithms trying to make people aware in very simple terms what solar means for them, and then helping map the cities, helping map the rooftops in terms of shading, because solar installations do get impacted by shadows of trees and nearby buildings. So it's a very different mindset that is required to unlock this market, and we believe technology, internet, financing, and a micro
Mhm.
level penetration are what are required to unlock this market, and that's what the attempt at MySun is.
Mhm. So basically, like you and I, like we can just go to your website and ask that, hey, we would like to install solar. So like, what is stopping people from doing it? Is it awareness, or is it like expenditure upfront, or what are the challenges why everyone's not doing it? Because it makes so much sense.
So it's multiple reasons. I can broadly categorize them into three or four categories. One, definitely you said the right thing, it's awareness. People hear a lot about solar, but when it comes to their own homes or their own buildings, they find it extremely difficult to understand what it really means for them to get solarized, both in terms of costs and both in terms of savings not just upfront, but savings over the long, because solar
Mm,
systems have a lifespan of 25 years. So what do they do, right? So what when we started MySun, the first thing that we did was that each and every pin code in India we mapped. Okay. And because in India power is a state subject, and there are different consumer categories, and the tariffs, energy tariffs, are slab wise also. So it's a highly complicated structure. So we mapped each and every state, each and every pin code, each and every tariff slabs for all customer categories, and we came up with a very simple tool. So there are very complicated algorithms behind it, but to the on the face of the customer, the customer interface is so easy that customer just chooses this location and enters their monthly electricity bill, and at the click of a button we can tell them a very crisp summary of how solar is going to benefit them, not just in terms of financial rewards, but also in terms of impact on environment, in terms of how much CO2 saved, how many cars off the road, how many trees saved.
mhm.
So it's an attempt to make people aware in easy language in which they can understand, for their
Yeah.
personal use of solar. So that's what people can do through either our website or through our app.
Yeah, yeah. So folks who are watching, who are listening, all the details are actually there in the description. The website, the cost calculator that sir was talking about, the pin code mapping and all. So yeah, we have a question actually, but I think that's what you've been answering, that why people are not doing it, because end of the day it sounds such a no-brainer and so win-win. Uh, so so from technology point of view, can you say like verticals, like what are the technologies that are needed to solve these massive challenges, and maybe if academics should be doing something in that direction.
Oh, there's a lot. I think technology can play a major role. As I explained earlier, the market size definitely is huge, but it's these are individual houses and individual buildings that we are talking about. So the first real challenge is, without incurring too much cost, can there be a mechanism through technology, can we map these rooftops, right?
Mhm.
In terms of location, in terms of individual buildings, in terms of individual roofs, right? And that is where it brings in, it requires a lot of innovation, probably investment also. There are companies which are doing mapping of individual cities, but it is required at a pan India basis, because it is not that cities are and states are going to wait for their turn to solarize. Solar is there, it makes huge financial sense. Reducing your cost of electricity from 6 to 7 rupees per unit to bring it down to 2 to 3 rupees per unit. So when that kind of an opportunity exists, the technology can play a role in mapping these cities, the coordinates of these cities, the sizes of the roofs, and also the solar resource assessment of these rooftops. One of the most difficult challenges that we face in India compared to, let's say, US, is that we don't get to see very high accuracy Google Earth images because of the security reasons. I think the government of India does not allow high precision, high resolution images of our cities and therefore our buildings. So therefore, it is very
Mm-hmm.
difficult to do a 3D mapping of these roofs sitting at my office. So what it means
Mm-hmm.
that we have to then have people or agencies involved, which again would deploy people, and then they would go out and map these individual homes and cities at a micro level. So which involves a lot of cost. But given the challenge that, or the constraint that we have, that we don't have those high resolution imagery through Google Earth, one thing, government of India definitely, there can be satellite based programs which allow this on a, of course, keeping in mind the security concerns. But also we have invested our into technologies where we have developed a mobile app which, anywhere in India, a semi-skilled person can go out and spend 5-10 minutes or 15 minutes on a rooftop, and he can map the entire roof through that app in terms of layouting, in terms of shadow analysis,
Mm-hmm.
uploading the pictures of the roof, and then all through cloud coming through a central database. And then, therefore, our engineering at a central location in Noida can make a standard proposal or a customized proposal for anywhere, customers coming for anywhere in the country. So therefore, I'm saying, I'm not saying whatever we are doing is the end of technology adoption in this space. I think the field is wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it requires a lot of innovation, new ideas, to ensure that we are, technology alone probably is not the solution. Technology at the right cost is what is required. Technology is there. We just have to learn to use it or to modify it at a commercially scalable use case level. I think that is where the real challenge is, and that is where the real innovation can be required. Once that is done, I think there are other areas in terms of technology adoption, which is, we all know that most of the solar systems that we are installing today are grid connected systems.
Mm-hmm.
We set up a solar system. It is connected at the main power point of the building, and as soon till the time the grid is there, it senses power, and solar power is generated. But when the grid goes down, the solar system also goes down, right? So therefore, the ideal solution for a country like India is uh, mass adoption of storage.
Mm-hmm.
Storage,
And that's what our next talk is actually. So Akshay
yeah,
Harikumar, so they are working in the field of solar energy storage. And yeah,
yes,
sir, great points. I mean, so obviously it's a huge in industry that so solar power. So it's great, sir. If there's any questions in the audience, you can take them, or folks, if you have any questions, you can write here. So yeah, there's one. I think yeah, the same question that I asked, and that people are not aware, and also I think the cost component they don't understand over the long run, and there are financing issues. So one question I have
yeah. So
is yeah, please.
sorry, I think one of the questions that I see, I think there were questions around awareness and others. I think we've already responded to that.
Mhm,
How can we create more awareness through online tools and penetration and other stuff? That is also one of other areas of creating awareness through digital channels, is also one area where technology
mhm,
can play a role. But I think there is a question around costs. And that, to answer one of your earlier questions, one of the last factors which I failed to mention earlier is financing.
yeah.
uh, it's like, typically a home solar system is about, let's say, a 5 to 7 kilowatt solar system, which costs anywhere close to 2.5 to 3 lakh rupees, so which can be treated as a high end consumer loan product, right? So that is what we are trying to bring in also into the market, in terms of, can we bring innovative financing tools? It is very
Mhm,
difficult for an end consumer to go to a bank to go and fund a 2.5 3 lakhs rupees systems, or for an SME to go out and take NBFC loans, which are at very high interest rates. So the one of the areas of innovation is also innovation in financing for these solar systems that we are trying to solve.
mhm. Great, Great, sir. Thank you so much. I'm sure people are just a small drop in the ocean that about awareness that you talked about. That at least people who are listening and who will listen to this stream later can get an idea that it is accessible. It's about lack of awareness, and uh, so basically the people who are providers and the people who are consumers, they are not able to efficiently deal with each other. So how to make that deal possible. Great, sir. I think that it's like time. I am really, really thankful to you for taking your time out for this presentation. Uh,
Thank you
Really an
so much.
honor to have you.
Thanks so much for having me here. Pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So I will invite now Mr. Akshay Harikumar. Uh, so Akshay Harikumar is the founder and CEO of Wenergie. They exist to deliver power to the people. So what they have done is that they have reimagined the electric grid as a decentralized, clean, and resilient system. And their hardware and software that smoothly integrates distributed solar, utility power, and battery storage. I'm sure that Akshay will have a lot to add to what Gagan sir had to say. So I welcome on stream Akshay Harikumar. Akshay, the stage is yours. Thank you for giving us your time. And yeah, uh,
Hi Rahul,
oh,
thank you for having me here, and I hope I'm audible and everything is fine. And it's actually quite apt that the session just preceding mine was on solar energy. And I'm also quite glad that so many panelists today have focused and shared their perspective on clean tech and their and the innovation in creating a better world. So we need to act on so many major issues right now. Prime amongst them are global warming and pollution. Right? And at the same time, when we are solving these problems, we need to look forward rather than backward. So, what I say, so I'll just kind of elaborate on that. When we see all the goals and commitments that governments are taking right now, they're saying CO2 emissions to pre-industrial levels and temperature rise. We will limit it to 1.5 degrees compared to pre-industrial levels. Now, this pre-industrial levels, what has happened right now is in the last two centuries, humanity has made massive progress. Right now, technology has made us more productive. It has helped in eliminating so many diseases. Like we don't even know what is COVID. We are in the age of COVID right now, but we don't even know what smallpox or polio is. And the people who are dying due to malaria, that has also really come down. And technology has really reduced the barrier for so many people right now. So, for example, today we sitting in India, we have access to so many of the similar opportunities to people, say, someone who's living in the developed world who has great infrastructure. So, we are in the era of YouTube, live streaming, Zoom. We have so many opportunities which are very similar compared to them. So technology really has helped us grow in the last couple of centuries. And it's really difficult to imagine that when we say we have to go, our emissions have to be limited to something which is 2 centuries back. Uh, we cannot do this by compromising on all the technology gains that we have, all these technology gains that we've made over the last years. Instead, what we actually need to do is we need to look forward. We need to be looking at creating new solutions, and we need to innovate over here. So, so my company, Wenergie, our aim is to take humanity forward, and we want to do this by making clean energy accessible anywhere and at all times. And I think over the next 10 minutes or so, I'll be sharing our belief and approach to innovation at Wenergy, as well as uh, have a narrative on what we are building and how we are going about it. So our the previous session touched upon how solar energy is an innovation and it's a massive opportunity, right? And we need to be taking solar to every single house, every single building. And that's a great opportunity to to decentralize the grid. It removes so many vulnerabilities where, we don't have a single power plant in one place, but we have multiple power plants. It can be on my building, and we don't need to depend upon miles and miles of transmission cables, which are again vulnerable to any attack or any climatic efforts. Right? So solar energy is a great innovation. It's a new solution, creating electricity from the sun. It's a great innovation, and then but then it also has a few drawbacks. So for example, though we are creating electricity with less pollution, we cannot do this round the clock, right? So one is, as Mr. Gagan just highlighted, solar energy in its present form, it doesn't generate when there is a power cut. And similarly, so obviously the sun doesn't shine at night. Right? So we need to find a way to make solar energy available even at night. Right? So, so that kind of brings us to our first belief at Wenergie, right? So electricity from solar is an innovation, but then there is a further innovation needed to make this electricity available even when the sun is not shining. So belief number one basically is that innovation is a continuous process. So what this also means is that what we are doing today, it can be very, very different from what we are doing 10 years or 20 years into the future. And some of the strongest examples today are global giants, say Apple. Apple's first computer is very, very different from what they're doing right now. Right? Our iPhones have come a very long way compared to Apple's first products. And similarly, Sony is another great company. They're they're an electronics and media major, but they actually started off with rice cookers and paper pulp. So similarly, this process, starting with one product, one industry, I'll just tell you how it kind of looked for us, like how our journey at Wenergie looked. So Wenergie actually started off as a solar company, and we were doing something pretty much similar to what Mr. Gagan just highlighted in our previous session. We were going and installing solar panels at the houses and offices and schools of customers. And very soon our customers started asking for storage, because they started asking, though I'm installing solar, I want it to work when there is a power cut. I want to install it where I want solar to work and help me ensure that what I'm generating during the day, I'm able to use that exact same energy during the night as well. And so that is uh, very some of our customers, they had this problem, and they had this problem. The frustration was a very, very high level. It came from a place of, we don't have power for 4 or 5 hours a day, so what is the point of having solar? And and then we started looking at this. With we tried to integrate solar energy with storage. And we realized that this process is very, very difficult. It's highly customized, and the engineering effort is extremely high and it has to be done at every single site level. So we wanted to do this, and we realized that we have the engineering capability to do this. So what we did is we also started our first big change. Instead of doing solar installation, we started helping other installers like us with this engineering effort to integrate storage with solar energy. So that brings us to our second belief. Innovation always starts from a customer problem. So when a customer has a problem and they're very, very frustrated, and they see that, the way that they are trying to solve it is extremely difficult, and they're in that stage of frustration, that is actually where innovation starts. Like, necessity is the mother of invention. And in fact, the framework that we follow to at Wenergie is that first and foremost, when we are trying to create a new product, solution, or add a new feature, our first uh, our first question that we ask ourselves is, number one, do we face this problem? And number two, do we know three people who have this problem at an intense level? So that's how, like, in 15 minutes we are able to validate whether a problem is worth solving, and whether we need to spend our time innovating in a certain direction. So other we started continuing our journey. Wenergie actually started helping other solar installers uh, to uh, to integrate storage with solar, and they started seeing value in this because it started they started selling energy independence rather than just solar energy. They started telling their customers that, with our system, we will be able to help you achieve energy independence, freedom from power cuts, and we'll be able to ensure that you use your energy generated today, even in the evening. And this also started because there were so many companies that were doing solar installations, and uh, and we wanted to, competing in that industry was extremely difficult unless we innovated out of it. So that's our next belief, right? Belief number three: creating technology is an opportunity for creating a strong differentiator with respect to competition, and it helps us create a new product, a new solution, which helps customers choose us over a competitor. Technology and innovation helps us do better, and again, if we are not innovating, we are actually dying. That's another that's something which we like to keep reminding ourselves again and again every day. So now, over this entire process of integrating solar with storage, it's a uh, like I said, it's quite a cumbersome process. It's a uh, highly customized thing, because every single place has a load requirement, has a different solar generation profile, and so it's one thing trying to make this easy for our customer, but we can't take that entire effort onto our hands and be stuck over there, because we can't be doing the dirty work. We can't be doing all this dirty work. This It has to be a repeatable process, and that's what we've been trying to do over the last couple of years. We've been trying to make this entire thing repeatable, trying to implement hardware that is modular, plug and play, rather than designing every system over and over again. And we've also tried to implement software over here that kind of makes all the hardware, not only our hardware, but also third party off the shelf hardware, trying to make that work across trying to make that work across systems, across configurations. And something that has been happening over the last couple of years, and it's actually accelerated over the last 1.5 years, last 6 months basically, is that electric vehicle adoption has been something that has, like, really taken off. It's like wildfire now. Almost every day I can see at least 15 to 20 electric vehicles, and many of them being used for delivery. And we realize that, trying to make batteries available for solar, integrating batteries with solar, it's a very similar process to integrating batteries for electric vehicles and ensuring that their charging happens in an optimized way. So the entire optimization level, we saw an opportunity over there, and we are also building out now solutions for electric vehicles, ensuring that the batteries in electric vehicles, just like batteries for solar, it is something that is it can be observed, it can be scaled without the need for customization, and then electric vehicle charging can happen in a clean and optimized way. And that again comes from our belief, which is so belief number 4, I would say, is that we need to keep our eyes open for opportunities, and we need to always look for scale. We can't we can't be doing this. We need to be looking at repeatable. We need to be looking at things that scale, and we need to be looking at opportunities. And it's always opportunities in parallel industries that are side by side. and and then that again brings us to point number 1, right? When we find an opportunity, we start innovating again. So point number 1, it kind of brings back to point number 1, being innovation is a continuous process, and it's a cycle. So I mean, that's pretty much in short about what our approach and what we've been building at Wenergie.
Great,
uh,
great, Akshay. Thank you so much. There is one question. Maybe that could be the only question you take, because I think we are already past the time.
sure,
Uh,
sure.
do you have customized products for wide range of applications? It's rather general, but
Mhm. Yes, yes. So we do have customized product for wide range of applications, and it's tailored for solar energy, right from small home level systems to grid level battery storage integration, and for various applications as well. And it's customized, I would say, on an application level, but the product basically is something that is plug and play. It's a similar product which kind of which can be applied
mhm.
across industries.
All right. Thank you, Akshay. Thanks a lot for your valuable time. I'm sure
Thank you. Thanks, Rahul.
the audience is aware in some way, that this discussion overall, whatever we are having since the morning, it's going in a certain direction, and that they need to wake up and start taking action in this area.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome, awesome, great. Thanks a lot. We'll
Thank
be in
you.
touch, and yeah, good luck
Yes,
to you.
yes, of course. Thank you.
Bye bye. So, folks, we have with us our third speaker in this session, and that is Mr. Prajwal Nirwan. And he was already with us in the pre-event of Turnip Innovation Festival, but I'll introduce him once again. He's the founder and director of Climefort. He's a social entrepreneur, a clean tech focused European patent attorney, and he is strategizing and advising a lot of startups, SMEs, academia, independent inventors, and on how to leverage your intellectual assets and how to attain both environmental and commercial sustainability. After his talk, actually, two of his clients are also, pitching uh, their product. So, that would be very interesting for you to see their talk after this talk. So, Praj, I welcome you on the stream. The stage is yours. Thank you so much for coming again. Yeah.
Thanks, Rahul, for the kind introduction. I'm glad to be part of Turnip Innovation Festival. Good afternoon to you all, and welcome to my session on path-breaking innovations in clean tech. Now, of course, when we talk about clean tech, a lot of time we just think about renewable energy. Of course, we think about electric vehicles, but of course, there is a lot of other interesting things happening in the world which can be classed as clean tech. Now, we will talk about a few of those kind of inventions, innovations which are happening in the world right now, which are kind of, at least according to me, they're path-breaking, groundbreaking. They're still in early stage, but as you will see, they are gaining commercial traction, quite significantly. So we're just gonna give you a brief snapshot of, what those technologies are, where the commercial opportunities lie there. Okay. So the first one is carbon capture. Don't know how many of you have already heard of direct carbon capture technology. It's still in kind of relatively early stages. Just to give you a brief technology overview. It starts with there are massive giant fans which are drawing air from the atmosphere. And then they have filters which contain special engineered chemicals, which are basically capturing that concentrated CO2 from the atmosphere. And then next, the filter material is basically heated to release the captured CO2, and then the concentrated captured CO2 is basically either stored away in geological formations or kind of transformed into other goods, kind of some building materials and stuff like that, where it can be kind of stored away for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And again, the clean filtered air is then released back into the atmosphere. So one thing to understand is, when we talk about global warming, Of course, we do need to kind of reduce our emissions, and of course, that's kind of a no-brainer. We have to do that. But what about the carbon which is already there in the atmosphere? Of course, we do need to do something about it, because the longer it stays, it keeps warming our planet. So for that reason, such sort of direct carbon capture technologies are something which is absolutely needed. As I said, they are not available at large industrial scale yet, but of course, as we'll just talk about some companies which are in this space, you will say they are gaining immense commercial traction, and of course things are moving in the right direction. Just talking about a couple of companies, kind of big players in this industry, and first is the Swiss company Climeworks. It's gained a lot of media attention recently. So they basically commissioned the world's first commercial scale direct carbon capture plant in Zurich, Switzerland. And since then, they have attracted a lot of attention. You might have seen their pictures of a big plant with huge industrial size fans and stuff. And again, recently they launched their Orca project in Iceland, which is world's largest carbon dioxide capture and storage plant. Again, they are moving towards the phase of industrializing their technology. The first the plant they had at Switzerland, that was more of a prototype, and of course it was at commercial scale, but of course it was not capable of kind of removing carbon dioxide at an enormous scale. But that's what they're trying to do in Iceland with their Orca project. Well, so far they have already raised over 130 million US dollars in various funding rounds. So of course there is no lack of investment. People who want to invest in such technology, they definitely see a potential in this technology. They have filed over 100 patents worldwide, covering different aspects of their carbon capture technology. Another really interesting company working in the same domain is this Canadian company, Carbon Engineering. So Carbon Engineering, of course, they do direct air carbon capture as well, similar to Climeworks, and of course, the technology is slightly different. Thing which really stood out was, they have created this air to fuel, which is kind of their trademark kind of process. It's kind of a pilot plant to produce liquid fuels from the captured carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So as I said, with Climeworks, they were talking about what to do with the captured carbon dioxide. And as I said, can be stored in geological formations, or it can be converted into some building materials, and of course try to find some other ways of using that. So that's what they have cleverly done. They have found a way to convert that captured CO2 into liquid fuel. Now again, I don't know how exactly they do it, but this is something which is their kind of groundbreaking technology there. They have entered this partnership with the UK company Storega. They are targeting to build a big facility in northeast of Scotland, and there they would be aiming to remove 500,000 to 1 million tons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere annually. Now, obviously, again, when you talk of the global scale, you might just think that number is not that great, but then as a start, at commercial scale, it is still a very significant number. Like Climeworks, they have also raised a significant investment in last few years. They already have been valued over 100 million US dollars, and they have over 60 patents in their portfolio. Moving on to the next technology, air zinc batteries. Now, when you think of batteries, normally we think of lithium-ion batteries. They are the ones which are in our phones, they are the ones which are in car batteries and stuff. But of course, that's not the only battery technology out there. So one kind of really interesting technology, and still kind of in nascent stages, is zinc air batteries. Not that this technology was not known before; it has been known for a very long time, but it's only now that it is gaining commercial traction, and companies are investing, and investors are investing in this technology. So to give you a brief overview of the way the technology works. So, it has three main components: your zinc generator, a storage tank, and your fuel cell power stack. So zinc generator basically kind of segregates zinc particles from zinc oxide or other zinc compound, and then which is stored in the storage tank with potassium hydroxide, which acts as an electrolyte there. And then it goes to the fuel cell power stack, wherein the zinc particles get combined with oxygen in the atmosphere to generate electricity. Now, in the whole process, what they release is pure oxygen. That's it. So, of course, it's a zero carbon, a very clean solution. Again, it's not really using kind of any hazardous chemicals. All they're using is zinc and oxygen, really. Much more energy dense than a lot of other battery technologies out there. Definitely scalable. So definitely it is something which can find applications ranging from your phone to your car batteries. Of course, it's only a matter of time when you will start seeing zinc ion batteries and other similar technologies kind of competing with existing lithium ion technology. In terms of commercial traction, so a couple of interesting companies. There is this Canadian company, Zinc 8. So Zinc has already signed an agreement with New York Power Authority to deploy its battery technology in New York State. And actually, as we speak, they already are running some of their battery modules to power some units in New York City. Very early stage still, but they have raised around 15 million US dollars in various investment rounds. And of course, they have over 20 patents. As I said, it is still a very early stage company. So of course, if we look at them in next 5 years or so, I'm pretty sure you will see it has grown significantly by then. Another one, which is a bit more mature company, is Wenergie from Israel. So that company has actually already partnered with Indian Oil to manufacture metal air batteries. So apart from zinc air batteries, they also do aluminum air batteries, but it's kind of the same technology. They've also completed a successful pilot in Italy with Ericsson. They have raised over 50 million US dollars in their various funding rounds. A mature patent portfolio, over 200 patents they have worldwide. So again, Wenergie is kind of a bit further in its stage of development. Okay. Talk about our third interesting groundbreaking technology is molten salt reactors. Now again, don't want to go through the complex diagram, but just to briefly summarize it, it is kind of another form of nuclear fission reactor where you're not using uranium, but actually you're using molten salt mixture, which is used both as fuel as well as coolant. It can produce much more cleaner and sustainable energy. It has less chances of kind of disastrous nuclear accidents. It operates at low pressure. So there are loads of advantages of molten salt reactor as opposed to the traditional nuclear fission reactions that we know. I mean, so far there were only kind of 2 experimental stage molten salt reactors that were known to man, both in the US. They were more like research lab stage, but now things are going to change. Companies, scientists, investors, they are seeing potential in this technology, and of course it is gaining commercial traction. To give you some examples, so here in the UK we have Moltex Clean Energy. So again, a very young company, but they are already working. They have signed a project to license and construct first of its kind waste burning reactor in Canada. So they are working in partnership with Canadian government, and of course it's kind of a joint agreement between the UK and Canada. They have raised £6 million in crowdfunding alone. So of course it's not just the big VCs and angels who are investing in it, but crowdfunding. So crowdfunding is where the general public is investing, and of course there's people who are interested in this technology are also investing. So of course they're seeing the potential that this technology can bring to the world, and of course that is reflected in its huge and successful crowdfunding round. Another interesting technology in this area is this Danish company, Seaborg Technologies. So Seaborg Technologies, again, it's in its quite early stages, but the good news is they have cleared their first classification milestone with the American Bureau of Shipping for deploying their nuclear power barges in maritime industry. They have raised $25 million so far in various funding rounds as well. So yeah, so as you can see, these different technologies are at different stages of evolution. Of course, some of them have grown a bit further, but one thing for sure is, they are here to stay. They are gaining tremendous traction, be it in funding, be it in terms of the patent filing, be it in terms of how people are actually seeing the potential of these technologies. Some of them are kind of, completely new, and a lot of them are actually kind of, technically these technologies were known, but it's just only now that they are, finding their commercial application. So that is pretty much it. If you would want to learn more about different technology areas in clean tech, or if you would want to get some help in how can you find commercial traction in your own industry, if you want to know more about what's happening in your industry itself, please reach out to us, either through our website or our email. So we are based in the UK, but we do serve clients from all over the world. Right. So next, I'm gonna pass to my kind of a company that I've been guiding over the last 6 to 8 months, Avalor Green Energy. So they are a very innovative company in graphene based water purification system. So I would like to welcome Ian and Aryan from Avalor Green Energy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Praj, for such an informative session. The next session link is in the description. You can join there.
You create, you innovate, you stand for sustainability. You are a champion of green economy. But is your intellectual wealth protected for commercial sustainability? There's much more to IP than simply filing patents. It's time to rethink IP. It's time to rethink innovation. It's time to cooperate, not compete. We are your strategic partners in managing and harnessing your green innovations. Together, we create a better world for today and tomorrow. Success does not have to come at a cost. We are Climefort. Our planet, your innovations. We help protect both. You create, you innovate, you stand for sustainability. You are a champion of green economy. But is your intellectual wealth protected for commercial sustainability? There's much more to IP than simply filing patents. It's time to rethink IP. It's time to rethink innovation. It's time to cooperate, not compete. We are your strategic partners in managing and harnessing your green innovations. Together, we create a better world for today and tomorrow. Success does not have to come at a cost. We are Climefort. Our planet, your innovations. We help protect both.